Who's sharing your content for you? Happy Monday. Oh, obviously this podcast, Marketing for Owners podcast, is not associated in any way with the band The Happy Mondays. I'm just saying, Happy Monday. Who's sharing your content? You are producing content. You are writing, you are blogging, you are producing up-to-date content on your social media, etc., etc. Aren't you? I have mentioned it before. You're not going to get very far if you just stay static. You're just going backwards if you don't move, if you don't update. So I'm going to assume that as you are one smart cookie, my friendly owner, because you're listening to this and learning, then you are producing content in some manner. You are blogging, you're writing in some way. But you won't be able to get that out there on your own, unless of course you're the BBC or CNN, the New York Times or the Huffington Post. Then you've probably got a bit of a following, you'll be okay. But hey, hello, nice to see you listening to the show. Let's assume you're not. That means you need help to get your content in front of the people that you want to see it. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to use that magic R word, relationships. Now I use it a lot because relationships is where you get to know other people in your space, in your vertical or associated, who can do a quid pro quo, a win-win, help you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, etc., etc. For example, you may have a customer who has a very lively blog. Generally, by the way, the people you wish to share your content, the ones you want to put the most effort in to asking, are the ones with a larger following than yourself. Obviously you want the others as well, but you wish to concentrate initially on the ones with the larger following. Go for the big money first, that's what I'd say. So, how about some ambassadors? You must have some customers that probably have a good following. Give a list of your top followers. Go to someone like Fiverr, look up data entry or research tasks. Find someone who does 2 or 3 hours work for $5 on Fiverr. Give them a list of the names of your top 50 clients or your top clients and ask them to go out there and in that time find as many social media presence, their Facebook page, their Twitter page, Twitter following handle, and note down the number of likes, follows, etc. to find the bigger ones. Okay, and give them a little detail like the website so they find the right one, because that could be embarrassing. But go out there, find those, and then pick out the larger ones. Find out if they have a blog, if they write. But if they've got Twitter followings, if they've got a good following, they probably put out content. Then simply get in touch and say, hey, we wrote an article about blah, 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 because your articles are not going to be all me. So they're going to be for the reader, not for you. So they're going to be of benefit to those ambassadors and say, we'd love it if you could share. If you wish to share our content on a regular basis, perhaps we can offer you some sort of bonus for being an ambassador for our company. People love bonuses. If they're using you anyway, it means they like you. So offer them something in exchange for leveraging their client base and their following. Okay, that's one. Then, of course, I'm always talking about influencers. Just do the same exercise, but find influencers in your trade. Talked about it before. Go to sites such as Topsy and BuzzSumo and places like that. Find big blogs on Google or in Technorati. Bing, Yahoo, search. Doesn't have to be done in 5 minutes. This is something you do over time and build a spreadsheet on and just keep it. Find influencers and contact them. When you don't contact, no. Don't contact them with every single thing you write. Write quality. Provide something that if they shared it to their following, they are not promoting you. They are just saying, here's a good article. So only offer things that aren't self-promotional. Okay, in your articles, provide great information, answer customers' questions, answer questions that should be in the minds of your target audience. Don't promote yourself. When they share, it will have the link to your website, because that's what they're going to do. You're not going to give them the article, by the way. You're going to give them the link to your page, so they'll say, oh, here's a good one. That gets people to you. You don't need to mention you. Think about this. It's a very popular way of doing it. That way, if you get other people to share your content, they'll like you because they have a regular supply of good info to share with their audience. It won't be just you, they'll be sharing lots. Don't be scared. What's the worst that can happen? They can either ignore your request or they can say, no, we don't do that. Big deal. Or they could say, sure. Or they might even say, thanks. You never know. Really does happen. It's what everyone else is doing, the ones that work in the system and doing well. Anyway, I did mention it's a Monday, so we need a book for the week. This week, we're going to have a look at LinkedIn. There is an excellent book called Maximizing LinkedIn. It's actually got a longer title, I can't remember the rest, but if you just look for Maximizing LinkedIn by Neal Schaefer. Now, just to point out, Neal is spelled Neal, and Schaefer is spelled Schaffer. Not to be mixed up with Mark Schaefer, spelt slightly different, who's also a social media and online business expert. But Neal is great. I like him because he practices what he preaches. In his book, he teaches very practical methods to make the most. It's a very popular book. If you want to just find the links to things like this, more information, show notes, find a link to iTunes where you can follow, go and give us a rating and a review, please. Just go to marketingforowners.com/podcast/141. You'll find them all there. All these are transcribed. They all have little videos and links to the audio as well. I'd love it if you give us a review. I love ya.